does Shohei Ohtani sign in California or any of the 49 other states? And it can be Hawaii. I don't think he's signing with I think it's the Hawaii Rainbows. But I need you to make the case, if you want to be specific, which team, but the case for the state of California to sign Shohei Ohtani.
You know, he's clearly stated he wants to win. The Dodgers have made the postseason 11 straight years. Yeah, they've struggled in the last two, but they have a really good stable of young pitching. You know, Bobby Miller coming up, the Emmett Sheehan's, the Ryan Pepios, the Gavin Stones, the Michael Groves, and you have Walker Buehler coming back. They have the best bullpen in baseball for the last 4 months last season. You have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman at the top of that lineup in their prime for several more years. You have a pretty good nucleus of young players. He's looking at things like that. And, you know, as much money as the New York Mets and even the San Francisco Giants are going to throw at him, I honestly don't think the Dodgers have to make the best financial offer to get this guy. If winning is going to be a priority for Shohei, you know, he's used to playing in California. The Dodgers can offer everything that I think he wants. So I think the chances of the Dodgers getting him, and yeah, is there a selfish reason for me to want him to stay here? Sure, he's a great story. It's amazing watching this guy and writing about him all the time. But I do think the Dodgers are in a great position right now to land him.
What do you think could be a reason why it doesn't happen for the Dodgers? And then we'll get to the Angels.
That's a tough one. I can't see any just things that's jumping out at me as that would eliminate the Dodgers. The only, you know how it is with the players. There's certainly a pressure on guys like Ohtani to set the market, so to speak, when it comes to the financial part of a deal. I do think other teams are going to offer him more money. I mean, if Steve Cohen wants this guy, the Mets are going to throw the bank at him. And the Giants have had, you know, they've tried to get Aaron Judge, Carlos Correa these last few years. I think they're sitting on a pile of cash as well. And the only one little wild card team, and I've started to hear rumblings about this, is a team like the Texas Rangers. You know, look at what they did last year, and you look at the talent they have on that team, and that's returning to that team. I don't know if they can afford another contract like Ohtani's with all the big money guys they have there, but you could make an argument that if you want to win, the Rangers are a pretty good team to go to right now.
Okay, so let's flip it, because we're doing cases for basically half the league, because we can rule out about half the league, but the other half we are running through over the next couple weeks. The case for Shohei Ohtani returning to the Angels. Give us a percentage chance. Give us any insight and reasoning for why, I guess aside from comfort and knowing what you're working with, he would return to the same ball club.
I don't want to say a 0% chance, but I don't think it's going to be much higher than 5, maybe 10% at the most. Listen, he's been here 6 years. He's seen the turmoil this team has been dealing with over the last few years. I think he's played for 4 different managers. He's on a second general manager. Even though I think if Artie Moreno sells a team, I look at that as a net positive. He doesn't know who's going to own the team moving forward. The farm system, they have a couple of nice-looking young position players in the shortstop, Zach Neto, this first baseman, Nolan Shanuel. Beyond that, you know, Trout and Rendon haven't had healthy seasons for 3 straight years. I mean, what is the lure for Ohtani to come to Anaheim? I mean, if it's a matter of playing in the great Southern California climate, he can do that in Los Angeles and play in front of, you know, 45, 50,000 fans a night. I just think he's seen what has happened with Mike Trout. I think he doesn't want to make the same mistake Mike Trout made in you know, tying himself to this franchise for 12 years. I'm not rooting against it, but I just can't see it happening.
Hey, Mike, how badly do you think the league, which is a business, wants to see Shohei not go back to the Angels based on the team not making the postseason for a decade, and that being just bad business for the sport? I bring this up all the time, but I mean, LeBron not in the playoffs for a decade. How would that do for the NBA? One of the best players ever, you know?
Yeah, obviously
going through right now.
Yeah, the league wouldn't come out and publicly say that, but sure, I think that's a factor. Look at the ratings for the WBC last March. I mean, they were off the charts, better than they've ever been. Why? Because of Ohtani and Rosaki and that great team from Japan, going against the U.S. in the finals. I think we got a taste of what Ohtani might be like in the postseason. Look, I mean, yeah, the strikeout of Mike Trout to end the thing was great, and it's going to get talked about for years. But he led off that game-winning rally with a double to the gap on a pitch that was probably ankle high and outside. I mean, because he was determined to get a hit. So I think baseball needs Ohtani to get to the postseason, just like they've needed Mike Trout to get there over these last few years. And I think it'd be a shame to not see Ohtani in an October setting.
What's the pulse of Angels fans right now? Because we've certainly experienced at least some of them on social media who I think kind of mischaracterize, at least me, when I, for years now, will bitch about how the team is run. And I'm not the only one. I'm getting everything that I talk about straight from people super, super directly involved and usually in high positions with the ball club complaining to me about Artie Moreno. And then I'll get some of what I call like Artie's Army. I mean, it could be one of his friends that comes after me on social media. So my thing is, I want them to win. I want them to be successful. I've been there many times. Mark Gubas is one of the nicest dudes in the game. The fans deserve it. They always have to be kind of the ugly stepchild right now to the Dodgers in the way that they're running their operation. We had Joe Madden on the other day, and he was like, my advice to the manager is you have to get some things fixed, including the facilities, which some of them are the worst in baseball, which is insane to me. So how do you think the pulse of the fan base is? And I'm wondering why they can't do a reverse protest or something like that, or maybe just a protest over at the stadium, because their owner has teased them and said, I'm going to sell. And like you mentioned earlier, he took it back. He took the keys back.
Yeah, it's the dynamic there was interesting last year because there were a lot of people just cheering when he finally came out. Well, when he came out and said he's going to sell the team, and then just conversely groaning when he pulled the team off the market. There was some pretty good indications that the owner of the Golden State Warriors was interested in buying the team, and I think a guy like that would be really good. I think the pulse of the Angels fans right now is one of high frustration, impatience, tired of the losing, tired of, you talk to former players, the guys Artie has signed and retained, and played for him over the years and given a lot of money to. They love the guy. Well, yeah, Torrey Hunter, Tim Salmon, Albert Pujols. These guys aren't going to say anything bad about the owner because he's thrown millions of dollars at these guys. But Artie is also, highly responsible, if not primarily responsible, for the signing of Pujols, the signing of Josh Hamilton, the signing of C.J. Wilson. Some of these contracts have hamstrung the organization for years financially. And it just seemed like anytime he gets, call it meddling, call it getting involved, he's the owner, he has that right. But it does seem like many of the times he's really injected himself into these types of personnel decisions. They have backfired. And it's just been, we're on 8 straight losing seasons with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. And it's almost become a cliche. It's a bad joke now around baseball that how can you not even have a winning season with 2 of the best players in baseball? So they're frustrated. They'd like to see some change. Is Ron Washington the answer? There's no reason he shouldn't help, but it's going to take so much more, I think, than a really good manager to turn this franchise around.
Mike, sorry I missed some of your answers. Ironically, Torrey Hunter called me right when you were talking, so I just skip out to answer the phone. He literally said to me, "Are you on the air?" And I said, "Yeah, we were just talking about you." He said, "About what?" I said, "Well, you're going to be the first base coach in Anaheim." And he just started laughing. He goes, "I ain't going to be the first base coach." He did interview, though, for the manager's job. He did tell me that, okay, which is great because I love Torrey. Torrey and I came up through the system together. He's an awesome guy. And he said, "I want to be the manager because I can mentor the people better as the first base coach." And I said, "Well, Wash only signed a 2-year deal." He goes, "Man, you ain't never heard of a first base coach going right to manager." And I was like, "Well, you could be the first."
Torrey's different.
That's what I said. I go, "You're different, though."
But
he said, he goes, "Listen, I have a lot going on." He has barbecues, he has kids, he has a wife. there's a bunch of things going on in Dallas, like Mike said. But he also said, he's like, yes, I'd love to be, which he is. He's like a special assistant because what he likes is to be able to talk to kids, younger kids, and help them grow, not only in baseball, but in their life. And he's like, right now, I have enough time because he's like, time is money for me. I have enough time in the Dallas area where I can still talk to kids, not just about baseball, but about life. Because if you know anything about Torrey Hunter was in a gang growing up and all this, and he got out, right? And now he's, one of the best dudes in the world. So I agree with what Torrey said. But Mike, there's your answer about him being the first base coach. He just laughed and said, I'll be the manager because I can help more people out being the manager. And he'd love to do it one day, but he's not going to be the first base coach of the Angels.
Yeah, Torrey is also a grandfather of 5 now, too. So he's got that going on. And having become a grandpa recently, I know how that goes. And, I don't think any of those reports were confirmed, and that's why I was obviously trying to reach out to him. But Torrey is probably the one guy, maybe personality-wise. You talk about a guy commanding a presence. My goodness, Torrey Hunter will get your attention. And, a guy like him, that's why I thought a guy like Darren Erstad even might have been really good with the Angels right now. But, yeah, I think if there's a profile or a type of guy who could go from, having played a couple years ago, never managed at any level, and could probably do it, I would think Torrey Hunter would be the guy. And sort of along those lines that you're talking about with Torrey, I think there will be and has been a little more of an effort with the Angels to bring in some of their more prominent players from the past. We saw Tim Salmon and Chuck Finley on the field in uniform as guest coaches the last month of the season. They need to bring in some more of these guys that were here, that were winning, all those divisions they won from 2002 to 2009, the pennants they won, the World Series they won. They need to bring back some of that mentality, some of that presence, some of that fire, the David Ecksteins, the Troy Glosses, the Darren Erstads, the Salmons, the Garrett Andersons. All those guys are part of something really big here for a long time. And they've just gotten so far away from that right now that there are a lot of kids who haven't really experienced that in Orange County, and that's a shame.